Mediabistro On Demand presents Get the Gig, Perfecting Your Pitch. The right query letter will help you score your next assignment. Take it from us, there's nothing an editor likes better than a well-packaged, well-written pitch from a writer. It's like getting a present. Too often writers think of editors as the enemy. But in fact, if you've got a great pitch, you're poised to be their best friend. Editors need to fill their sections, so help them do it. So what's a pitch letter for? Well, first of all, a pitch letter is the same thing as a proposal, query, article idea. They're all the same thing. A pitch is how you get started on an article, and it's also what keeps you going. It's how you prove your skills, because good ideas that arrive in the right form show that you understand the business and how to think about your subject and about what the readers want. There are two key questions that every pitch letter should answer. What's the story, and why me? In this case, of course, me means you, if you know what I mean. Try this. Write those big questions on a Post-it. What's the story, and why me? Post it by your desk so you can refer to it all the time. Always be thinking about this when you're putting queries together. You remember that song about how love is like a river, and then it's like a razor, and it's like a rose, and all that? All right, maybe I'm dating myself, but sometimes you need a few metaphors to get the job done. Pitches are about how you represent yourself and your ideas in the best possible light. Here's some ways to consider them. They're like the seed of an idea that you grow into a seedling, so the editor knows exactly what the finished article or plant will look like. They're like the fabric swatch of an article, showing a sample of the fabric of your thinking and writing that you then stretch over an outline. Or, if you prefer, they're like ads for your work, written pieces of salespersonship, the counterpart of a cold call. Really, whatever works for you. Play to your strengths when you write a pitch. Do you know other languages? What's your background? Do you possess unusual skills? Do you have prior reporting experience or great academic credentials? How about unusual access to sources? All of these can help you figure out what kinds of stories to pitch and can make your pitches sharper and more relevant to editors. Try this. List your strengths, even funny ones. If you finally learned to swim at the age of 30, write it down. It shows perseverance. Then list the ideas that play up those strengths. Sounds like an inspirational article on learning to overcome your fears would be right up your alley. Before you can write a pitch, you need to go blue sky for a while. Think big. So keep your eyes open. Read, travel, attend talks, get on press lists. Also keep your mind open. A single idea can often be spun in many different directions. Recognize the needs of different publications. Part of the job of being a freelance writer is keeping up your subscriptions, looking for new publications, and keeping an eye out for changes in staffing or editorial focus. Mediabistro's revolving door newsletter is a great way to do that. Finally, use Mediabistro's How to Pitch articles to get the inside scoop on what each magazine is looking for. Try this. Take a trip to your library or magazine store. Find 5 new publications and spend some time with them. Read the How to Pitch articles on Mediabistro.com and broaden your dreams. Now from broad, we're going to get in focus and think small. You've got an idea or the fragment of an idea. Now you need to adapt that idea to a particular section of a particular publication. All of magazine writing comes down to one simple rule. Come up with good ideas and pitch precisely. You never pitch to a publication. You pitch to a particular section of a publication and ideally to the editor in charge of it. Don't submit the same proposal to different editors at the same publication, by the way. When people say, I have a proposal but I don't know where to send it, that just doesn't make sense. You need to customize and keep it precise. One more question. How long should a proposal be? Well, your best pitch is probably a sentence, uttered at lunch with an editor that you know. Not there yet? Okay, your next best pitch, single sentence again, on the phone or by email, also to an editor you know. Still not there? Okay, you're going to be writing something then. So shoot for 300 words, what would comfortably fit on a single printed sheet of paper. For complicated stories, it's okay to go longer, but each time ask yourself, make sure that there's a reason to do it. 4 paragraphs are ideal, but 3 or 5 would also work. For some publications and some stories, especially if you know the editor, it might be okay to send several proposals at once, as long as each one's a paragraph long and all the topics have a common thread. All right, it's time to write the proposal that's going to make an editor's day. Here are your 4 steps to success. Generally, you're going to do these in this order. Begin with a tease, develop the topic, describe the article, and then give your credentials. Let's look at these in some detail. The tease is the first thing an editor reads. It's similar to an article's lead. It can be a fond hello if you're friends, a snappy line meant to grab attention, or a simple sentence about this is a pitch about a certain topic for a certain section. The purpose of the tease is to get the editor to want to move on to paragraph 2, where you're going to develop the topic. Some examples of teases include, here's a front of the book story that sounds ideal for Dance Spirit magazine. The internet is killing television, they say. But what about watching TV that's specifically created to take advantage of the web's interactivity? I propose a piece on the phenomenon of web-based comedy, ... I'm heading to Alicante, Spain next month. Here's a story that should be perfect for your yachting around section. Or finally, hi editor, it's me writing. It was great seeing you at the Tales of the Cocktail conference. I've got a great article idea based on what we talked about, the use of salt and pepper in cocktails. So now you've got the editor's attention. What are you going to do with it? In 1 or 2 paragraphs, you're going to give the big picture of your story. Here's an example. In the Santa Fe area in September, even car exhaust smells like roasting chilies. No matter where you go, the roasters are turning in yards, supermarket parking lots, and out in the fields. Locals look forward to the harvest all year, emptying out their chest freezers to make room for the new crop of big Jims, which will be thawed and stirred into enchiladas, tacos, eggs, and everything else. I'll be traveling from Albuquerque to Taos this September, and I plan to visit the famed Hatch Chili Festival and interview growers, locals, tourists about the event. I'll also meet up with some local chefs and home cooks, get their favorite recipes for green chili. Throughout my story, I'll include facts about the area, great tourist ideas, and tons of local color. All right, so you've told the story. You've gotten them excited. Now you need to say exactly what you want to write about this story. So a description of an article includes precisely what you're going to report on, explore, and discuss. You want to mention your word count, how many words you want assigned to you, any sidebars you're going to write, the spin on the story, and then if there's a peg, what it is, why it's important, and why readers should care. If you don't know what a peg is, so that's something that's happening in the news that makes your article ideal for a given issue of a publication. A story without a peg is often called an evergreen. If there's no peg, you still want to try to create some urgency or energy about your story. And also be mindful if you do include a peg, because that can limit when your story can run. So here's an example of how you would describe your article. This year marks the 50th anniversary of soul music, and Memphis will be one big party. Events will take place at Sun Studios, Soulville, and the Stax Museum, and I plan to cover them all in 1,000 words while eating the best barbecue in the country and stopping at Graceland on the way. I'll provide 300-word sidebars on where to stay and where to eat with a music-oriented audience in mind. So there you're still telling a little bit of your story, but you're getting your facts in. Really, the author will get a picture of what the article is going to be like. So the next big question is, why you? What are your credentials? What have you published about? What's your editorial experience? You want to tell about other footwork, access, background, expertise, sources, and of course you want to include your clips as appropriate to substantiate all of that. If you want some more information on clips, by the way, check out our clips tutorial on Mediabistro On Demand. It's great. So here's an example of your credentials paragraph. As a native of Fargo who has recently returned to stay, I believe I'm the perfect writer to cover the cultural and artistic changes that have taken place in the city over the last few months. I have a master's degree in art history, and I've written several articles on urban planning for a variety of publications. That's a great one. How about, I'm a journalist with 10 years writing experience. I've also produced travel pieces, how-to segments, documentaries, and health stories for a variety of broadcast programs. All right. With all of the news regarding the rise in crime in the university neighborhood, this issue is very topical. I'll be following up with you in the next week. So that's a final paragraph that would be for something very topical where you need to follow up right away. You also want to point to where your links are. I've also included a link to my recent article on stand-up comedy in the internet age for your evaluation. Then, of course, you want to finish with thanks. Look forward to hearing from you. So your little seedling is all grown up. You're almost ready to send out your pitch. Before sending it out, you want to run through your checklist. After reading the proposal, it should be immediately clear what your topic is and what the article will be like. As you're writing your proposal, keep your impact in mind. What's the purpose of the article? Are you trying to be entertaining, informative, provide service? You'll want to write the proposal in the same voice you'll use for the finished article. That's why it's more like a swatch. Pay attention to craft, tone, pacing, and style. Of course, proof your work really well. And make sure the timing is right for your peg, keeping the lead times in mind. Try this. It's a good idea to keep this kind of checklist by your desk to make sure that all your pitches live up to your standards. When you get a great idea, it's really easy to hit send too fast and regret it later. Okay, about follow-up. We say give it a week and a half, unless the pitch is super timely. Most editors we know prefer email, though some will take calls. If you do call and you get an editor or an assistant, be super polite. Ask if he or she has had a chance to take a look at your proposal and make a decision. Keep a log of when you first sent your proposal and every time you emailed or called. Email or call again. As long as you continue to reach someone, keep trying. But if you only, get someone's voicemail or send an email and don't hear back, move on after 2 or 3 tries. Believe it or not, editors really do like reminders, and often they'll move your proposal to the top of the pile when you remind them that they have it. By the same token, your pitches, they're your goods. They're like gold. You shouldn't waste them on editors who don't appreciate them. You need to keep them moving. Don't let deadlines or pegs pass you by. Only you can prevent that from happening. And keep really good records and lists of where your stories are. One of the best things you can do for your pitches is to stay in touch with other writers and editors. Socialize a lot. Meet writers, and they'll help you meet editors. There's no question that it's easier to sell work to editors you know personally. Rely on your colleagues for ideas, sources, contacts, leads, editing help. Of course, you need to help them too. Ask other writers when it's appropriate if you can put their name in your TEASE. So you can say, I'm writing to you at the suggestion of so-and-so. Avoid making enemies. Editors rise and fall unpredictably, and you never know who you're going to be pitching to again. Remember, a great pitch answers the questions, what's the story, and why me? Then, of course, when you write a great piece, it's the icing. And getting the next assignment will be, well, a piece of cake. Best of luck with all your pitches. For more great content and the best media job listings on the web, visit Mediabistro.com.